The night was calm on the edge of the colony. The stars above shone bright and the wind whispered through the tall black trees. Most people were inside their small homes, afraid of the dark forest. Nobody liked to wander out there after sunset. Strange sounds often came from the woods, and the older people told stories of shadows that were not human. Then the peace was broken. A loud boom echoed across the sky. A burning trail cut through the darkness like fire, ripping the heavens apart. Something huge crashed deep inside the forest. The ground shook, birds screamed, and animals scattered. Smoke rose like a black tower, glowing with orange light. People rushed outside their homes. Men and women stood in silence, watching the sky. Children cried, holding on to their parents. Everyone knew what it was, a ship, but not a human ship. "It's them again," whispered one man. His voice shook. Aliens. The colony had seen war before. Years ago, alien armies had attacked other human worlds. They destroyed cities, took lives, and left fear behind. Nobody here had forgotten. To the colonists, aliens meant danger, destruction, and death. So when the ship crashed, nobody moved to help. Nobody wanted to risk it. In the forest, a small sound carried through the night. It was not the growl of an animal or the crack of fire. It was something softer, something almost painful to hear. It was the cry of a child. The smoke cleared just enough for a figure to be seen. Small, fragile, lying beside broken metal. The child had pale skin, almost glowing in the dark, with strange markings across the face. His large eyes glimmered with tears. He was afraid. Alone. The people at the edge of the forest whispered to each other. "Stay back. It's a trick. They send one, then the army comes. No one touch it." But one man did not turn away. Ethan was not a soldier. He was an engineer who worked on repairing machines and building tools for the colony. He was known for his quiet nature and his strange sense of justice. He looked at the small child lying in the wreckage and felt a pull inside his heart. "That's not a monster," he thought. "That's just a child." But fear held the others. Nobody stepped forward. Nobody wanted to risk angering whatever alien army might be watching from above. The child tried to stand, but his legs were weak. He stumbled and fell, his small hands scraping against broken metal. His cry grew louder, desperate. He looked around, hoping someone would come, hoping someone would help, but the humans only watched. Ethan's hands shook as he clenched his fists. His mind battled his fear. He remembered the news stories of entire cities destroyed by alien fleets. He remembered the warning his father once gave him: "Never trust them, they are not like us." And yet before him was not an army, not a soldier, not an enemy. It was only a child. What if that was my child? Ethan whispered to himself. Would I want others to just watch? He stepped forward. The ground crunched beneath his boots. The colonists gasped, some calling out to him, "Ethan, stop! Are you insane? You'll bring death to us all." But Ethan kept walking. The child's eyes found him. Wide, glowing, filled with hope and fear. The small alien whispered, something in a broken voice. Words Ethan could barely understand. It sounded like one word. "Help." Ethan's chest tightened. He nodded slowly, raising his hands to show he carried no weapon. Behind him, the colonists murmured in anger. Some cursed him. Others whispered that he was betraying humanity. But Ethan no longer cared. His choice was made. As he reached the crash site, the air felt hot from burning metal. Sparks hissed and the smell of smoke stung his nose. He bent down carefully, his eyes never leaving the child. "It's all right," Ethan said softly, his voice calm. "I've got you." The child reached out a trembling hand. Ethan lifted him gently, feeling how light and weak the small body was. The child leaned against his chest, still crying softly. For a moment, Ethan thought maybe it was over. Maybe he had done the right thing. Then, a low hum filled the air. Ethan froze. From deep within the forest, red lights flickered between the trees. The sound grew louder, a mechanical whine, cold and merciless. Ethan knew at once what it was. Machines. Alien drones, they were coming. The colonists at the edge of the forest saw the red lights too. Panic spread through them. Some shouted for everyone to run. Others cried out to leave the child, to abandon Ethan. Fear ruled them now. But Ethan held the child tighter. He looked back once at the people who had chosen fear. Then he turned to face the dark forest. "Whatever happens," he whispered, "I won't let them take you." The child buried his face against Ethan's chest. The red lights grew closer, moving fast, scanning the ground. And in that moment, Ethan knew one thing for certain. By helping this child, he had crossed a line that no one else dared. He had made himself a target. The hunt had already begun. The bee. Forest was no longer silent. The air carried a sharp hum, the sound of metal wings slicing through the night. Red searchlights flashed between the trees, scanning every shadow. The alien drones were close now. Their movements were smooth, cold, and deadly, like hunters that never tired, never hesitated. Ethan's heartbeat raced. He pressed the small child closer against his chest. The alien boy trembled, his large eyes glowing faintly with fear. Each time the red light swept near them, the child clutched Ethan's shirt tighter, whispering soft words in a language Ethan could not understand. But one word kept repeating, one word the child had learned already. Protector. Ethan swallowed hard. Protector. Was that what the child saw in him? Or was it simply a desperate word spoken by someone with no one else to turn to? The first drone burst into view, hovering above the broken treetops. Its long, thin body gleamed like steel. A red lens rotated in its head, locking onto the heat of the crash site. Sparks still burned on the ground, pointing the way like a trail. The machine's weapons clicked into place. Ethan ducked low, pulling the child behind a fallen log. His breathing grew shallow. The hum of the drone passed just above them, a death shadow in the sky. He whispered into the child's ear, "Stay quiet. Don't move." The boy nodded, his small body shaking but silent now. The drone paused, its red light sweeping slowly, carefully, as if it could smell their fear. Ethan pressed his hand against the child's back, keeping him still, praying the machine would not sense them. For a moment it seemed to work. The drone turned away, floating deeper into the trees. Its sound faded. Ethan dared to breathe again. But then another sound came. Voices. Human voices. Spread out. Search the woods. Colony guards. Ethan peeked over the log. 4 men in dark armor moved through the trees, rifles in hand. Their helmets carried green lights, sweeping like predators' eyes. They weren't there to protect him. They weren't there to save the child. They were there to capture him. One of the guards shouted, his voice harsh. "Ethan, we know you're out here. Drop the alien and come back." Another voice followed, colder. "If you don't, you'll be treated as one of them." The word struck Ethan like a hammer. He knew what that meant. Betrayal. Death. The child tugged at his sleeve, whispering again. His voice was soft, filled with fear. Ethan couldn't understand the alien words, but he understood the meaning. Don't let them take me. The forest became a trap. Drones in the sky, guards on the ground. Both closing in. Ethan's mind raced. He was no soldier, no fighter, but he was an engineer. He knew machines, knew how to twist them, break them, use them. He searched the ground with desperate eyes. Fallen, metal from the wreck, wires, sparks still glowing. He grabbed a shard of broken panel, its edges sharp, and twisted 2 wires together. Sparks burst out, glowing blue. "Cover your ears," he whispered to the child. The boy obeyed. Ethan threw the sparking metal across the ground. It hissed, then exploded with a sharp bang. The sound ripped through the forest. The drone above spun sharply toward the noise, its red lens locking onto the wrong target. The guards shouted in confusion. "What was that?" Ethan didn't wait. He grabbed the child's hand and pulled him into the trees. They ran, stumbling over roots and stones, hearts pounding like drums. Behind them, the drone fired. A red beam burned through the forest where they had been seconds earlier. Trees cracked, flames sparked. The guards cursed, firing their rifles at shadows. The night became chaos, but Ethan kept running. His breath tore at his lungs. His arms ached. Yet he didn't stop. The child ran beside him, small legs struggling, but determination in his eyes. For the first time, Ethan saw something more than fear in that gaze. He saw trust. At last, they reached a narrow stream. The water shone under the moonlight, cold and fast. Ethan knew the drones tracked heat. Water could hide them. "Come on," he urged. They waded in, the water biting cold around their legs. Ethan held the child close, pressing him against his chest as they crouched low in the stream. The current pulled at them, but they stayed still. Above, the drone passed again. Its red light scanned the ground, but the water cooled their bodies, hiding their heat. Slowly, painfully, the machine drifted away. The child let out a soft breath, eyes wide. He whispered again, "Protect her." Ethan stared at him, silent. In that one word, spoken with trembling faith, he felt the weight of his choice. He was no longer just a man helping a stranger. He was now bound to this child's survival. But the danger was far from over. The guards were still searching. The drones were still hunting. And above them all, high in the sky, Ethan knew there had to be more. More machines, more eyes. They couldn't stay in the colony. They couldn't hide forever. Ethan's jaw tightened. "I'll get you out," he whispered to the boy, "no matter what it takes." And as the night deepened, and the drones moved like wolves in the dark, Ethan realized the truth. By choosing to protect this child, he had not only defied his own people, he had declared war against an enemy far greater than he had ever imagined. The cry in the dark was no longer just the child's. It was his too, a cry that would echo across the stars. The forest was alive with danger. Branches shook under the weight of boots, and the low hum of alien drones filled the night like a swarm of angry insects. Red beams cut across the trees, searching, hunting. Ethan ran, clutching the child's small hand. The boy's glowing eyes darted in fear, his breathing quick and shallow. Behind them, the sound of snapping branches and crunching leaves grew. Louder, the guards were closing in. "Don't stop," Ethan whispered. His lungs burned, but he refused to slow down. The child nodded, though his legs stumbled. His small body wasn't built for long runs. Ethan glanced back. Shadows moved between the trees. The men of his own colony, his neighbors, people he once worked beside, were chasing him like prey. One voice shouted, "There! Don't let them escape!" Gunfire cracked, bullets tearing through bark and soil. Sparks lit the darkness as rounds struck the wreckage scattered across the ground. The child cried out, pulling closer to Ethan. Ethan dragged him behind a boulder. His mind raced. He had no gun, no armor, nothing but the tools on his belt. His strength was not in fighting, but in thinking. He pulled a small device from his pack, a repair scanner normally used to test circuits. He twisted its wires until the screen sparked and glowed. It was no weapon, but maybe. He hurled it into the brush. The device let out a piercing shriek, a sound so sharp it split the silence. The guards cursed, covering their ears. Ethan grabbed the boy again. "Now!" They ran deeper into the forest, but the machines above were not fooled for long. A drone swept past, its red beam locking onto their heat. Its body tilted, preparing to fire. The child stumbled and fell, crying out. The beam powered up, glowing bright. Ethan turned back without thinking. He threw himself over the child, ready to take the hit. But in that moment, something impossible happened. The boy's small hands glowed with blue light. A faint shimmer spread around them, like a glass bubble. The drone fired, and the red beam struck the shield instead of flesh. Sparks exploded across the barrier. The shield trembled, cracked, then shattered, but the beam did not reach them. Ethan stared in shock. The boy's body shook with exhaustion, but he was still alive. You can do that?" Ethan whispered. The child's answer came in broken English. His voice was weak, but clear enough. Little. Only little. Ethan understood. It wasn't a power that could last long. But it was enough. For now. The drone recalibrated, ready to fire again. Ethan grabbed a fallen branch, thick and heavy, and swung with all his strength. The wood cracked against the drone's lens, knocking it off balance. Sparks burst out, and the machine spun into the trees, crashing hard into the dirt. For a heartbeat, the forest was quiet again, but then more lights appeared. 2 more drones hovered into sight. The hunt was not over. Ethan pulled the boy close. We keep moving. They pushed through the trees until the ground sloped downward. At the bottom lay an old supply tunnel, a forgotten shaft leading beneath the colony. Rusted doors hung open, vines crawling over its frame. Most colonists had abandoned it years ago when the newer transport routes were built. Inside, Ethan said, they slipped into the tunnel's darkness. The air was damp, smelling of old metal and soil. Their footsteps echoed, but it was safer than the open forest. For now, the child clung to Ethan's arm. His voice was trembling. They want me dead. Ethan slowed, looking down at him. Why? You're just a child. The boy's glowing eyes lifted, filled with sorrow. His words were broken, but the meaning was clear. Not child. Heir. Ethan froze. The weight of that word settled heavy in his chest. Heir. This boy was not just someone's son. He belonged to something greater. A family. A throne. A bloodline powerful enough to be hunted across the stars. Before Ethan could ask more, the tunnel shook. Dust rained down as something heavy landed outside. The hum of engines grew louder, deeper. Not drones this time, something bigger. The boy gripped Ethan's sleeve tightly. They come. Ethan's mind raced. If the boy was truly an heir, then this chase was more than survival. It was a war. A war that had already found him. He clenched his jaw. Then, we'll make them regret coming. From his belt, Ethan pulled another tool, a plasma cutter used for mining. Its charge was low, but the blade of light it produced could cut through steel. He switched it on. The blade hummed softly in the tunnel's dark. The boy's eyes widened. For the first time since they met, a small spark of hope flickered on his face. Ethan lifted the cutter, his voice steady. If they want you, they'll have to go through me first. Outside, the sound of metal claws scraped against the tunnel's entrance. Red light spilled inside, and the shadow of a massive machine filled the doorway. The tunnel was dark, but not silent. Heavy boots echoed. Against the walls, the sound of men moving closer. The air was thick with dust, and the faint hum of drones outside never stopped. Ethan held the plasma cutter tightly in his hand, its blue blade humming faintly. The child clung to his side, glowing eyes wide and afraid. The boy whispered only one word, soft and trembling. Protector. Ethan swallowed hard. Protector. He had no choice now. The shadows at the tunnel entrance shifted. Human soldiers stepped inside, rifles raised. Their armor reflected the red glow from the drones behind them. These weren't strangers. These were his own people. Colony guards he had shared food with. Men who once helped him repair machines. Now, they were here to kill him. The leader's voice rang out cold and firm. Ethan, drop the alien, step away, and we let you live. Ethan's grip on the plasma cutter tightened. His eyes narrowed. He's just a child. The guard shook his head. That's not a child. That's a threat. You know what they are. You know what they did in the wars. If you side with him, you're no longer one of us. The child pressed closer to Ethan's leg. His body shook. Ethan could feel it. The guard raised his hand, giving a signal. 2 rifles clicked, aiming straight at Ethan's chest. Ethan's heart pounded. His people, his colony. He wanted to scream that they were wrong, that this was not a monster, but a boy. Yet he knew they wouldn't listen. Fear blinded them. Fear ruled them, and fear could kill. Slowly, Ethan stepped back into the shadows of the tunnel, pulling the child with him. His voice was calm, but sharp as steel. "If you shoot at me, you'll regret it." The men laughed, though unease flickered in their eyes. "You're an engineer, Ethan. You fix machines. You're not a fighter." Ethan smiled faintly. It was true. He wasn't a fighter, but engineers built the world. And sometimes engineers broke it. He pressed a hidden switch on the wall, one he had wired long ago when he worked in the tunnels. The floor vibrated. A trap. The guards looked down in surprise, just as sparks burst at their feet. Pipes ruptured, spraying hot steam. Metal screamed. The men stumbled back, coughing and cursing. Ethan pulled the boy deeper into the tunnel. "Run!" They sprinted through the darkness, past broken carts and rusted doors. Behind them, shouts echoed. Boots thundered. Gunfire sparked against the tunnel walls. The boy stumbled, his legs weak. Ethan scooped him into his arms and kept running. His lungs burned, but he didn't stop. A bullet whistled past his head. Another struck the wall, spraying stone shards. The guards were close, too close. Ethan slid behind an old support beam, breathing hard. The boy looked at him with wide eyes, whispering something in his alien tongue. Ethan didn't understand, but he caught the meaning. "They will kill us." "No," Ethan said firmly. "Not while I'm here." He looked around quickly. Broken machines lay scattered in the tunnel. Old mining drones, their bodies rusted, wires exposed, dead, useless, unless someone knew how to wake them. Ethan pulled out a power cell from his belt, one he had stolen from the wreckage. He shoved it into the nearest machine. Sparks jumped. The mining drone whirred, one eye flickering weakly to life. "Come on, come on!" The guards closed in, rifles glowing with charge. Then the drone roared awake. Its heavy claw arm swung wide, smashing into the tunnel wall. Stones crashed down, blocking part of the passage. The guards cursed, diving for cover. Ethan grinned. "That's more like it." He guided the boy around the chaos, deeper into the tunnel. The old mining drone, half alive, swung wildly at the soldiers. Its broken frame sparked, but it bought them precious seconds. At last, Ethan and the boy reached the far end of the tunnel. A rusted ladder stretched upward, leading to a hatch. Ethan pushed the boy up first, then climbed after him. They emerged into the cold night air. The forest stretched around them, but above, Ethan froze. The sky was no longer empty. A massive ship hovered above the colony, its shadow covering the land like a storm cloud. Lights glowed along its sides, weapons humming with energy. The ground shook as its engines roared. A voice boomed from the heavens, speaking in alien tongue. The boy stiffened, his face pale. Ethan glanced at him. "What are they saying, Ira?" Boy's voice trembled. They want me. They say, 'Give the air or I'll die.'" Ethan's blood ran cold. The warship wasn't here to rescue the child. It was here to kill him, and if they failed, they would burn the colony to ash. Behind him, the hatch burst open. Colony guards climbed out, rifles ready. One of them shouted, "Ethan, last chance. Give us the alien." Ethan stood tall, the boy at his side. The plasma cutter hummed in his hand. His voice was steady, filled with fire. "You want him? You'll have to go through me." The guards raised their rifles. The warship above charged its weapons. The night trembled with the sound of war, and Ethan knew the real fight had only just begun. The sky was burning. Above the colony, the alien warship hung like a predator bird waiting to strike. Its engines rumbled, shaking the ground. Its glowing weapons charged slowly, humming with power. Every colonist felt the weight of that shadow, a reminder that their lives could end in one firestorm. Voices filled the streets. People screamed, children cried, guards barked orders. Panic spread like wildfire. But all sounds faded when a deep, mechanical voice rolled across the sky. The ship spoke. The alien words carried through every crack of the colony. Though most humans could not understand them, their meaning was clear from the tone. Cold, final, merciless. The boy beside Ethan understood. His small hand gripped Ethan's sleeve, trembling. "They say return me," he whispered. His voice was weak but sharp with fear. "If not, they burn all." Ethan's stomach dropped. He looked at the frightened colonists around him. Their eyes darted to the child, then to Ethan. Fear turned into anger. "Give him up," someone shouted. "Do you want us all dead?" Another screamed. "He's not worth the whole colony." The guards stepped forward, rifles raised. "There," leader snarled. "Ethan, you're risking every life here. That thing is their target, not us. Hand him over." The child's glowing eyes filled with tears. He pressed himself closer to Ethan, whispering a single word. "Protector." Ethan's jaw tightened. He knew he could end this terror instantly. One choice: give the boy to the ship, and the colony might be spared. But deep down, something told him the aliens were lying. If they wanted the child alive, they would not threaten to destroy the colony. No, they wanted him dead. Ethan raised his plasma cutter, standing firm. "You hand him over. You're not saving anyone. You're helping them kill him." The guards hesitated, but the colonists shouted louder, their fear blinding them. The boy tugged Ethan's arm. His voice cracked. "Need tell you truth." Ethan crouched down, ignoring the angry crowd. "What truth?" The boy's eyes glowed brighter, as if light burned inside him. His words came slowly, broken but clear enough. "Not just child. Air. Last of my line. My people betrayed. Ship above, not rescue. They murder family, murder me, to end blood." Ethan froze. The weight of those words pressed against him like stone. An heir. The last of a ruling bloodline. That explained everything. The hunting drones, the warship, the endless pursuit. They weren't here to save him. They were here to erase him. The boy's small voice shook. "If I die, no one left, my people lost forever." Ethan's breath caught. He looked up at the warship. Suddenly, the fight was bigger than just one frightened child. This was about survival of an entire race. But the crowd didn't see that. They only saw their own fear. "Ethan!" the guard shouted again. "Step aside!" He aimed his rifle. Ethan's hand moved faster. He swung the plasma cutter, sparks flying as its blade struck the ground at the guard's feet. The heat forced him back. The crowd gasped. "No one touches him," Ethan growled. His voice echoed like thunder. The boy looked up at him. A spark of hope shining through his tears. But hope was fragile. The warship's weapons charged brighter, glowing red. The sky itself seemed to boil. The alien voice thundered again, this time clearer. The boy translated in a whisper, each word cutting deep. "They say, final warning. Give me, or all die." Ethan's mind raced. He could not fight a warship. He could not protect the boy forever with just tools and courage. But maybe, just maybe, the boy himself had more power than either of them realized. He remembered the shield the boy created in the forest. Weak, small, but real. A gift. A weapon. Ethan knelt. "You said you're heir. That must mean something. Can you fight them? Can you use their machines?" The boy's face was pale, but his eyes burned with light. He nodded slowly. "Can touch their tech. Control, but weak. Need help." Ethan grinned faintly. "You've got me. I build, I break, I fix. Together, maybe we can do more than just run." The boy blinked at him, then whispered again. "Protector." Above, the warship's cannon roared, its energy building to fire. Colonists screamed, falling to their knees. Guards lowered their weapons, their anger replaced with terror. Ethan stood tall, the boy at his side. He pointed the plasma cutter toward the ship, his voice rising like a battle cry. "You want him?" he shouted at the sky. "Then you'll have to burn me first." The boy's small hands glowed, brighter than before. Sparks of blue energy wrapped around his fingers. Machines nearby, the colony's lights, the guards' rifles, even the drones above, flickered, shuddering under his unseen touch. The warship trembled in the sky. Ethan looked down at him, a fire in his eyes. All right, Air. Let's show them what happens when you try to erase the last of a bloodline. And as the warship's cannon reached full charge, Ethan knew this fight was no longer just about survival. It was about defiance. It was about standing against fear. It was about proving that sometimes one human risking everything could change the fate of two worlds. The colony square burned with light from the alien warship above. Its massive body hung in the sky. Engines, growling like thunder. Red beams swept across the ground, marking targets. Every colonist knew one wrong move could bring fire down upon them. Yet the greatest danger that night did not come from the sky. It came from the humans standing beside Ethan. The boy clutched Ethan's arm, glowing eyes filled with fear. Colonists had stopped screaming now. Fear had changed into something sharper, anger. Dozens of eyes stared at Ethan and the child, not with pity, but with hatred. He's why they're here, someone shouted. Give him up before they kill us all, another cried. The guards raised their rifles again. Their leader's voice cut through the noise. Ethan, this is your last chance. Step aside. Ethan kept the plasma cutter steady in his grip. His voice was low but strong. You're fools if you think handing him over will save you. They don't want peace, they want to erase him. But the guards didn't care about truth. They cared about survival. And fear made them blind. Then from the crowd, a familiar face stepped forward. A tall man with a scar across his cheek wearing the uniform of a commander. Captain Rourke, Ethan breathed. Rourke had been Ethan's mentor once, the man who taught him discipline, the man who protected the colony when others failed. For years, Ethan respected him. But now, the captain's eyes were cold. Ethan, Rourke said, his tone sharp. You've always been clever. But this time you're wrong. That thing is not a child, it's a spark for war. Hand it over. Ethan shook his head. You don't see it. If they take him, they'll kill him, and then they'll kill us anyway. Rourke's jaw tightened. If saving the colony means losing one alien, then so be it. The boy pressed closer to Ethan, whispering, Protector, don't let them. Ethan raised his voice, desperate to reach the people he once called neighbors. Listen to yourselves. You're about to murder a child because you're afraid. Is that who we are? But fear is louder than reason. The colonists shouted back, voices rising in a storm of anger. Hand him over. Don't doom us all. Traitor! The word cut deeper than a blade. Traitor. Ethan's chest tightened. His people had already chosen. They were not with him. They were against him. Rourke lifted his rifle. I'll do what you can't. He aimed at the boy. No! Ethan lunged forward, swinging the plasma cutter. Sparks exploded as the glowing blade slashed the rifle aside. The shot fired wide, scorching the ground. Chaos erupted. The guards rushed forward. Ethan fought like a cornered wolf, his cutter blazing, forcing them back. He wasn't trained for battle, but desperation gave him strength. Then something strange happened. The boy cried out, his hands glowing brighter than ever. A pulse of blue energy burst from his small body, rippling. Through the square, machines screamed. Rifles shorted out, lights flickered, drones above froze mid-air. Even the warship in the sky shuddered, its massive engines stuttering for a moment. The colonists gasped in shock. The boy collapsed to his knees, breathing hard, sweat shining on his pale skin. But his power had shown the truth. He could touch the enemy's machines. He could control them. Rourke stared at him, stunned. Then his face twisted with rage. He's dangerous. More dangerous than we thought. Kill him before it's too late. The crowd erupted, shouting in agreement. Fear had turned into madness. Ethan knelt beside the boy, lifting him into his arms. You did good. You showed them what you are. And now we run. He turned toward the colony's outer gate, heart pounding. But more guards blocked the path, weapons raised. For the first time, Ethan felt the crushing weight of hopelessness. He was only one man with a dying child in his arms. The warship loomed above, the colony betrayed him, and his old commander aimed to finish it. Rourke's voice thundered. You can't win, Ethan. You're alone. Give up. Ethan glared back, his voice fierce. Alone? No. Not anymore. The boy stirred weakly, his glowing eyes opening. His hand pressed against Ethan's chest. Blue sparks flickered again, reaching out, wrapping around Ethan's plasma cutter, around the broken drones, even around the colony's defense turrets. Metal groaned. Engines screamed. Machines turned. The turrets that once protected the colony swiveled, no longer aimed at Ethan. Their barrels lifted toward the warship above. The colonists gasped in terror. Some fell to their knees. Others tried to flee. Rourke shouted, He's controlling everything. He'll destroy us all. But Ethan only smiled grimly. For the first time, the boy wasn't just running. He was fighting back. Above, the warship's cannon glowed, ready to fire. On the ground, the stolen turrets lit with blue light, preparing to strike. The final betrayal was complete. Ethan's own people had turned against him. But in that moment, he understood. He and the boy didn't need the colony's help. They would fight for themselves. And as the warship's cannon roared to life, the battle for survival truly began. The night sky was on fire. The alien warship loomed above, its massive cannon glowing brighter, building to a single strike that could erase the entire colony. The ground shook with every pulse of its engines. People screamed, scattering through the streets, searching for places to hide where no safety existed. On the ground, the colony's defense turrets twisted upward, their barrels glowing blue under the alien boy's control. Sparks danced across the metal as if the machines were waking from a long sleep. Ethan stood in the middle of it all, the child clinging to his side. His plasma cutter hummed in his grip. The colonists had betrayed him, but it didn't matter anymore. This battle was no longer about their fear. It was about survival. His, the boy's, and maybe something greater. The boy's voice was faint but determined. Protector, I can stop them. But need more time. Ethan nodded, his jaw set. Then I'll buy it. The warship fired. Its first shot, a beam of red light tore from the sky, striking one of the turrets. The explosion rocked the colony, flames rising high. The boy winced, his control flickering, but the other turrets answered back, firing streams of blue energy. The night filled with light as fire clashed against fire. The colonists screamed louder. Some dropped to their knees praying. Others cursed Ethan's name, but he ignored them all. His eyes never left the enemy above. Behind him, boots thundered. The guards hadn't given up. Rourke, his old commander, stormed forward with soldiers at his side. His rifle was aimed straight at Ethan. You're killing us all, Rourke roared. This ends now. Ethan turned, his plasma cutter glowing like a sword of light. You still don't see it, do you? They'll kill you whether or not the boy lives. The only chance you have is standing with us. But fear had already consumed Rourke. Then I'll kill you first. He fired. The blast missed Ethan by inches, scorching the dirt. Ethan rushed forward, swinging his cutter. Sparks exploded as the blade struck Rourke's rifle, slicing it in half. The commander fell back, but his men surrounded Ethan. The boy cried out, raising a trembling hand. Blue light burst from his palm, surging into the soldiers' weapons. One by one, their rifles sparked and died. The men stumbled back, shouting. In fear, Ethan grabbed the boy's arm. Hold on, just a little longer. Above, the warship roared, unleashing another barrage. Beams rained down, burning craters into the colony. The defense turrets fought back, but they were too few. The ship was too strong. Ethan knew what he had to do. He turned to the boy. Can you reach the ship's heart, its core? The child's eyes glowed brighter, filled with pain and determination. Yes, but need closer. Ethan's stomach tightened. Closer meant death. But there was no other way. Then we get closer, he said. He pulled the boy onto his back, gripping the plasma cutter in one hand. The turrets gave them cover, firing again and again at the warship. Sparks rained from the sky as pieces of alien metal fell. At the edge of the colony stood a wrecked transport, half destroyed, but its engines still hummed weakly. Ethan sprinted toward it, climbing inside. He slammed his fist against the controls, forcing life into the machine. The transport shook, sputtered, then roared awake. Rourke's voice bellowed behind them. "Ethan, you'll doom us all." Ethan looked back once, his voice cold. "I'm trying to save you even if you can't see it." The transport lifted, into the air, engines screaming. The boy clung to Ethan, his small hands glowing as he linked with the ship's systems. The panels flickered blue, responding to him. "Closer," the boy whispered. "Closer to core." The warship turned its massive cannon toward them. Red light gathered at its tip, hot enough to burn a mountain to ash. Ethan gritted his teeth. "Hang on." He pushed the transport forward, racing straight at the enemy. Beams of red fire streaked past, tearing the air. Explosions shook the hull, but Ethan held the controls steady. The boy's glow spread wider, seeping into the ship, keeping it alive where metal should have broken. The warship grew larger, filling the sky. Its cannon reached full charge. At the last second, Ethan pulled the transport into a sharp dive, racing beneath the warship's belly. The boy pressed both hands to the glass, his eyes blazing. "Now," he whispered. Blue light erupted from him, flooding into the warship above. Circuits screamed, engines stuttered. The massive cannon flickered, choking on its own power. Then, with a sound like the sky breaking apart, the energy backfired. The warship shuddered. Explosions burst across its surface, tearing open its hull. Flames and debris rained down, lighting the night like a storm of fire. The colonists below watched in stunned silence as the ship that had threatened them burned from within. Ethan pulled the transport away as the warship collapsed, falling into the distant mountains with a final thunderous crash. Silence followed, a silence so deep it hurt. The boy sagged against Ethan's chest, exhausted. His glow faded, his eyes heavy. "Protector, safe now?" Ethan held him close, his voice gentle. "Yes, you're safe." But he knew the truth. This was only one ship, one battle. Others would come. The boy was not just a child. He was an heir, and enemies would cross the stars to erase him. Ethan looked down at the child, then out at the broken colony. People stared at him with fear, awe, and confusion. He didn't care. He whispered softly, more to himself than to anyone else. "Then I'll protect you, no matter what it costs." The boy's eyes closed, a faint smile on his lips. "Protector, this is only beginning." And Ethan knew he was right. The war had just begun.